Hey guys, KFunk16 here, and I'm here today with a long-awaited, sorry I've been putting it off, JP Tokimarui, or King Arms, or whatever, FAMAS reassembly video. A couple months ago, I made a disassembly video, and then everybody's been asking me how to put it back together. I just really haven't gone around to it, because, you know, things keep happening, school and stuff like that, and then, people wanted to buy this, and then I had it ready to sell, so I couldn't disassemble it, and then they flaked on me, and then more people keep offering me stuff like that. But now I'm just actually gonna do it. Just gonna spend all day working on this. But so I'm a little sick today, but hopefully I can try and commentate through this. Well, first off, you're gonna want your the left plate like this of the body. If you haven't watched my disassembly video, watch that first. Like, if you already have it disassembled, then you'll know what I'm talking about. This is the right piece on the right side, if the gun is facing forward. And then you're going to want to get the left piece. You're going to want to get two of these little square washers, these little square nuts, or whatever they're called. One in there, one in that slot. I haven't taken apart the hop-up unit, but if you don't know how to do it, it's the barrel, then this piece slides on, then this piece which attaches by those two screws, so you just attach those two screws onto the hop-up unit, and then these two screws attach the hop-up unit to the actual body. Next up, you're going to want to look for this little plunger looking thing, and that goes into there. And that goes into this slot right here. This is what adjusts the hop-up. Adjusts the hop-up right here. Okay, so you can just leave it at any orientation you want. But I tend to leave it, I try to unscrew it all the way so the hop-up is all the way off. So then I can adjust it later on. Next up, we're going to work on the trigger. Look for the trigger spring and the metal trigger. I'm doing this with one hand, so I might have to put you guys down. Put you guys down for a little while. But what you're gonna want is the the spring to be facing towards you like that, with the 45 degree on the top, like that, and then the trigger will go onto it like that. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick. So the spring, it's kind of you know, common sense if you've worked on guns before. Spring goes like that, tucks in like that. This piece will tuck onto here. Okay, so I'm gonna put you guys down a little bit because I don't think I can do this with one hand. Okay, now I got the trigger in there. Now what we're gonna want to work on is getting the gearbox attached to the back. The gearbox comes out as one solid piece unless you've disassembled it. Reassembly is the same as any other gearbox, so it should be common sense. You can look up any gearbox disassembly video. It's the same basic thing. But looking at it, there's still some nice grease on the gears. Everything's looking fine. Make sure this metal rod right here is still intact, no bends, no deformities. And then the Tamiya connector on the top will attach to here. Okay, so you're gonna want to attach the Tamiya connector. Try to do this with one hand. They're very stiff and thick wires, so they're very high quality wires. Well, not very high quality, but they're durable wires for what they are. Because that took quite a bit of force in there, bending back into place. And then you're gonna want to line up the gearbox into the slide the nozzle slowly into the hop-up unit. I'm trying to get it on screen while doing it with one hand. And then this metal bar will slide into this groove right here. Let me see if I can show you guys that again. Okay, I guess not. But it slides into that groove, and then this metal bar, you must hook it back into the trigger right here. Okay, you need to hook it into the little hole. and then you can test it out. Pulling the trigger should pull the disconnect bar. Okay, so now that we have that in place, what you're going to want to do is look for the other side plate. Now actually, we need to work on, you grab this bar, this plastic piece, that is what the charging handle, this is the charging handle. Okay, and then I'm going to cut that out, and then I'm going to come back and then reattach the next piece. Okay, so for the next piece, you're going to want to get the right hand of the side plates, and you're going to want to place it right on top. Make sure everything lines up nice and smoothly. Nice and smooth. I don't know if smoothly is a real word, but everything should line up. And then you will see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 screws on this side. And then I think there's about 3 on the other side. But your first 2 screws, these back screws, are going to be these tiny screws right here. You have 4 of the same size screws, so it doesn't matter which ones you use. But keep in mind they are very small, flat, and they're Phillips. You're going to want to tighten those up. Don't over tighten them too much, because you might need to loosen them later on, because if you tighten it too much, it'll cause problems with the steel disconnect bar. I'll show you that later if that does happen to me, and I'll show you how to fix it. Okay, and then for the screw up here, it's gonna be a small rounded screw. It's gonna be this screw. Let me compare it to the other screws that you just used. It's that much longer, and it goes right up here, right in front of the gearbox, right behind the hop-up unit. I mean, above the hop-up unit and behind the hop-up adjustment bar. And right here is going to be this long screw, a long flat screw that goes right through the magazine well. Sorry if I'm off screen a little bit. Then next up, these screws are going to attach your outer barrel. So you're going to want to grab your metal outer barrel, slide that on. It doesn't matter which way you slide it on. Just go and then just slide it as far as you can, far into the body as you can. Then you get these small flat screws, very similar to these, but the threads are a lot bigger. So one goes on this side. Okay, one goes on that side. And then the other one, this one goes on to the other side, but I won't get to that yet. Then up here, you're going to want another long one, very similar, a little bit shorter than your magazine well one. Okay, now let's test the trigger, and there seems to be no blockage, because sometimes people tighten this too much or tighten this one too much, and it blocks the disconnect bar. That's why sometimes you need to loosen these screws right here. Okay, so now that everything on this side should be stable, we could flip it to the other side, and there is 1, 2, 3 screws, just like I said. So these 2 small screws are going to be the gearbox screws. So you're going to attach the side plates to the gearbox. I'm trying to do this as like a one take thing. So, sorry if there's a couple errors or a lot of off-screen stuff. But hopefully I'm trying to narrate it as best as I can so that you could just be listening to this, and then it'll help you put it back together. And then get the screws with the bigger threads for the outer barrel on this side. So remember to not over tighten anything. And especially around this area. You don't want to over tighten anything, and because this is a plastic gun, you don't want to strip the threads on the plastic receiver. So everything's working fine. Everything is moving as smoothly. Next up, you're gonna work on the charging handle. First, get this spring. Doesn't matter which way you put it on. Just slide that spring onto your outer barrel. Then next up, you're gonna want to grab this piece, okay, and then slide that in front over your outer barrel and onto this, and make sure it slides onto there like that, okay. Then this is gonna be a two-handed job right here. You're gonna want to get your charging handle. It has this little circle. Make sure it's like an upside down trigger. Like how your trigger's going this way, make sure it's an upside down trigger. Then line it up. You'll get what I'm talking about if you actually have the gun in front of you yourself. There will be a little hole that it slides onto, and then you just gotta line up the screw holes. So it's a two-handed job. I'm gonna put you guys down for a second there. Okay, now that I've attached the charging handle, make sure everything's cycling, everything's working. Trigger, everything's working. Then next up, what you're going to want to work on is the trigger guard. It comes with this big hex screw, well, with the Phillips, but it's a hex shape, and then the trigger guard. You're going to want to put that screw through the hole in the trigger guard right here. That hole right here. And that goes into here. Do not over time this. This is a very important part. Do not over time this part. You're going to want to keep it kind of loose, but not too loose, because this does need a swivel. Like if you need, if you have a gloved finger. So if it has this much slack in it and play in it, that's perfectly fine. See how it can spin like that? That's perfectly fine, because it locks into place and it doesn't wobble anymore anyways. But if that really annoys you, you can Loctite it, blue Loctite. You know, you don't need to tighten this a lot, trust me. The next up, we're gonna go back towards the rear. Okay. No, actually, let's start right here on this piece. What you're gonna want to need is this little hex nut that comes off the other side, and this long screw, and this metal piece right here, the rear sight. You're gonna put the rear sight in with a triangle with that, that slight curve facing forward, so that when you pop out the sights, it opens out like that. Okay, if you have this gun, you'll know what the rear sight looks like. The screw end goes on from the right side. The nut goes on the left side into that little indent. This will be a two-handed job. You need to keep one finger on the other side and then start tightening it from this side. So I'll get back to you. Okay, now that I have that attached, let's work on the rear. Next up, you're going to need the biggest, well, the second to the biggest piece. It's the plastic frame. It has the cheek weld, hop-up unit hole, the buttstock, basically. And what you're going to want to do is, it's not really tricky, but if you have it in your hands, it'll be a lot easier. If you're just watching this for educational purposes, then good for you. But this is, it's specifically for the people who are trying to assemble this again. But you're going to want to slide it from the back like that, and then you're going to want to push it forward, and it clips onto place. And then you will attach two screws, one on this side and one on the other side. These screws right here. And then it's a two-handed job, so I'm going to come back after I attach it. Okay, now that I got that piece on, it basically slides in like this, and then it pops down like that. I've already tightened the other side, and this is very crucial right here, this screw. If you tighten it too much, which I'm going to try to do right now, one, you could strip this, and two, I can't do it right now, but sometimes it sticks your trigger. Like, you pull it back, and then it sticks right there, because this screw actually hits the trigger disconnect bar, and it actually will not allow it to move freely. But in this case, it's at the perfect spot, so it's moving freely. But if your trigger gets stuck, like you feel it tugging on something, then it's this screw right here. More than likely, it's that screw. Then next, we're going to work on the butt pad, the stock, or whatever it's called. You're going to need this piece and the long flat screw that it comes with. You're going to want to, it's just a slide-on procedure. Let's see if I can do it with one hand. Yeah, it just slides on. Just be careful you don't pinch any wires or anything. I think I was off screen the entire time. But you just slide that on, and then the screw goes in the top hole right here. Okay. Everything seems to be good. And then now we'll work on this bottom piece. This is the fire selector. Okay. Make sure you have it on off, okay, or safe. That is off, semi, and full auto. So keep it on off. And then what you're going to want to do is slide it back and then push down. Do not push down on top of it like that. You slide inwards. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. It slides in. See how it went under? Slides in, then down. Okay? And then be very careful not to over tighten these. And then some people have told me this one problem that they had where their fire selector would sometimes go full auto or semi-auto whenever it wants to. That, you know, how to fix that, I don't know the specifics on how to fix that, but what I did was I just removed this, the fire selector plate right here, cleaned the connector, which was like a little metal piece, and then just reattached it, and it's working fine now. Okay. I'm going to come back in a little bit, and then we'll work on the trigger. Okay, and now next up we're going to work on the pistol grip. The pistol grip has a little compartment that opens up like that. It has a little screw hole, and you're going to want to get your big Phillips head right here. And then you're going to want to, you know, try to get the screw into that hole right there. Okay. It's very common sense, so I'm just going to get back to you guys on that. Okay, once you get the pistol grip into place, next we're gonna work on the upper receiver, which is right here. This piece is held on by this long screw right here, so just keep that ready. This piece slides on like this right here. You slide it through the outer barrel, slides through this little hole right there. You see that hole? It slides through. Try to get this hole. So you slide it through it like that over the charging handle, which should be over the slit right there, and then it should just come down and then slide the rest of the way back to about there. Okay, so I'll get back to you once I finish that. Okay, now that we have the upper receiver on, there's this very long screw that goes through this side, goes through one side of the gun. It goes through the left side. So screw it in from the left side because there's a nut on the right hand side of this gun. So sorry it's a little bit dark, but if you have the gun in front of you, you'll know what I'm talking about. We are almost finished, guys. Maybe about a couple more minutes. There's only a few pieces left. Next up, we're gonna put on the this wire retaining screw thingy. So it's this little plastic catch. It's not needed, but it's helpful. This whole piece, if you don't want to put it in, it's fine. It won't affect your gun in any way. It just basically, it's like a wire harness. It just holds your wires down, but you know, it's not needed. So you're just going to put that screw, there's a screw hole right there. So make sure it sits on top of your wires. Damn it. I'll get back to you. But yeah, you can see where it's supposed to go right there. Okay, now that I got that on, now we're going to work on the outer barrel, this tip right here with the front sight. it has one small flat screw and two of these big threaded screws. First off, you're going to want to grab this piece and slide it on your outer barrel. It's common sense, it slides right into place. Then you're going to want to get your small flat screw, and it goes right there. It's really small. Damn it. Goes right there. In this area, you don't want to tighten it too much because it's plastic, and then you could strip the threads, which I already have on one of them. But it still works fine. Uh-oh. Rifle's falling over. I'll get back to you since it's a two-handed job. So it's one screw right here, and then two screws. Those two screws go on either side of this. And now for the final piece, the handguard. The handguard is a little bit difficult to get on. It has to slide in like an exact way, and then you're able to lock this trigger mech. This little thing right here. If you have the FAMAS, you should be used to this already, so I wouldn't have to explain this because that's how you put on your battery and stuff. So you just gotta find the right spot at which this attaches, and then you're able to close your handguard properly like that. Okay, so functions check. Let's see, triggers working smoothly, safety's working, charging handle. Okay, everything seems to be working fine. No barrel wobble, everything's working fine. If you wanted to go back and tighten up any screws, be my guest. Just be careful not to over tighten. Hopefully this has helped you on reassembling your FAMAS. Sorry about the very long wait. It's been very busy. If you have any questions, just let me know.